Good afternoon, everyone. Again, my name is Brad Walter, and today we're going to be discussing the G1000 again, and specifically some of the advantages of using the flight plan functionality of the G1000 instead of just using that direct to function. So we'll go over a bunch of the different perks of building that flight plan and loading it all in there instead of just using that direct to function. The direct to function is great if you're just staying local in the local area and you're hopping maybe from one airport to the next, or if you're flying around, just doing some VFR flying and you're ready to head back to either your home field or another field. Just hit direct to, punch in that identifier, and it'll show you your distance and estimated time to get to where you're going. So it is great for that, but actually building a flight plan if you're flying farther is very advantageous. One of the big advantages of building a flight plan is you can load up approaches or departure procedures into the flight plan, and you can even include it'll even include holds in there if you have an approach that has a hold built into it. That's a great feature. You don't have to worry about doing that or figuring out what kind of entry. Even the G1000 will tell you what kind of entry it recommends from the direction that you're coming from. So having all that built in ahead of time is a great tool. Another good advantage of building flight plans too is if it's someplace that you fly to, if it's a route that you fly to frequently, you can save it in the G1000. So G1000 will store up to 99 flight plans. So if it's someplace you fly to on a regular basis, just go back in there, find your flight plan that you have saved, and load it up, and it's going to save you a significant amount of time as opposed to having to load that in there every time or just doing the direct to function, flying point to point. Another good advantage of having your flight plan completely loaded and instead of doing direct to each point is it helps you be more hands-off of your flight management system and lets you pay more attention to flying and radio communication and being at the controls, aviating, navigating. You're not heads down on the G1000 pushing buttons trying to figure out your next point. If you have it all loaded up and you're ready to go, you can focus on flying. Another good thing too is the automatic sequencing that the G1000 gives you. So if you load your flight plan, it's going to give you that magenta line that you're following, and when you're coming up on your next point, it'll tell you, hey, turn to heading 350, and then it'll give you that countdown from 10 seconds, and you know exactly where you're going to be turning, and then the next segment of your flight plan turns magenta, and you're on your route and know right where you're going. Another good advantage is that you can load the entire flight plan, even if you're flying on airways or something like that. Load the whole flight plan from start to finish, and then zoom out on your map and take a look at what the route looks like, and get a good real-world view of what it's going to look like from start to finish. That way too, if maybe you copy down a point wrong and you see a vector of your flight plan shooting off into some place that it shouldn't be, or it displays a really not good sounding estimated time and route of you getting to your destination, it gives you a good chance to review your flight plan and go over where you may have copied some of your clearance down wrong and need to make an adjustment to it, so you're not going in the wrong direction. And then, like I said, that's another good advantage of being able to load the entire flight plan too, is it gives you you can look at your time and distance for the entire flight instead of just one segment at a time. Obviously, you're going to want to flight plan ahead of time and do all your flight planning on the ground before you actually jump in the aircraft. But with it built into the system, it's nice to be able to see the progression along the way. You can see how many miles you have left for each segment, as well as how many miles and how much time you have left for your entire flight plan. And that'll include, any approach procedures that you have built in as well. So it's definitely good to take advantage of building a flight plan versus just going point to point, and direct to a long, especially if it's a longer flight that you're working on. So basically, all the information that I've used for this presentation came from the King's Course videos, as well as the G1000 pilot guide. Hope y'all enjoyed the presentation, and looking forward to seeing yours.